You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Thanks for staying up with us. We watched the NBA All-Star Game so you didn't have to. A great show coming up, including the Runnin' Utes and UCLA going down to the final second.
Yeah, plus the best plays from locals in the NFL from this past season. And we're going to flash back to the best All-Star moments in Utah Jazz history.
Back when it was a competitive game. And that leads us to Indianapolis for our top story of the night. The 2024 NBA All-Star Game. The best players on the planet all together on one floor. Unfortunately, that doesn't equal great basketball. To be honest, the All-Star Game has now become hot garbage.
It's a great way of putting it. You know, not sure how to fix it, but there were some fantastic moments still tonight in Indy that were pretty fun to watch. And those were the ones that we want to relive with you. The hometown All-Star Tyrese Halliburton, fueled by the home crowd, came out on fire. Halliburton ripped the nets for 5 3-pointers in the first 4 minutes of the game. The entire Western Conference squad made just 5 3-pointers in the first quarter. Halliburton was off to a great start with 15 points in that quarter.
LeBron James playing in his record 20th NBA All-Star Game. He is the king. He was a starter, but only played 14 minutes and his 8 points, the second lowest he scored in an All-Star game. He scored just 4 back in 2021. But he did turn back the clock on a handful of dunks, which was fun to see.
Damian Lillard also got off to a hot start. He picked up where he left off in last night's three-point contest. He only shot threes in the first quarter. They made 3 first-quarter threes. Then in the second quarter, he kept it flying. 3 more in that quarter as well.
That was the Motor Speedway flat tire. Oh, my God.
And this is how he capped things off in that second quarter. Dame time in India, game-high 22 first-half points, 6 of 11 from 3, including, yes, a 50-footer. Are you kidding me?
If you're an OKC fan, they don't want to hear that. Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Trey with the patented move.
You know, there were a total of 106 assists in today's All-Star Game. I think Trey should get one for the nutmeg on KD, basically passing it to himself for the bucket. He did have 5 points and 7 assists in the game.
In the first half, both teams combined for 193 points, the most in a half in All-Star history. And the East, 104 points in the first half, ties an All-Star record for points and a half, matching the total set by the West All-Stars in 2016.
This here is old school basketball at its finest. And when I say old school, I mean your grandpa's basketball, right? The Western Conference with the no-dribble fast break, Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic going back and forth the whole length of the floor before Jokic goes behind the head to SGA for the finish.
It wasn't Indiana, a little Hoosiers action there. It felt like the MVP would come down to Dame and Halliburton, but a West player emerged as a candidate in the fourth quarter. Karl Anthony Towns, who scored 62 points in a game this season, scored 31 in the fourth quarter. Trying to lead a West rally, he would finish with a game-high 50 points. The East and West combined for 101 points in the fourth quarter alone.
Halliburton started strong. He finished strong. After an 18-point first half, Halliburton would knock down 4 more three-pointers. He finished 10 of 14 on three-point shooting, scored 32 points. He had 7 rebounds and 6 assists on his home court.
And Dame shooting from half court
As well. His second half-court shot of the game.
Another 50-footer for Dame? Are you kidding me? It was Dame time in Indy. His 39 points on 11 of 23 shooting from 3 was just enough to edge out hometown favorite Tyrese Halliburton for the All-Star MVP award, a first for the Weber State legend.
And I did come into the weekend, you know, and I knew I was doing the three-point. I was like, I'm gonna come to win. You know, I ain't gonna come be casual and try to be cool about it. I'm gonna try to win it again. And I'm gonna come in the All-Star game, my first start. I know I'm gonna be on the floor a lot, and you know, I'm a vet in this game at this point. So why not try to go get an MVP? You know?
Add that MVP trophy to another piece of hardware. Lillard is taking home this weekend. Lillard won the three-point contest on Saturday. Winning both events put him in some pretty elite company. Check this out. Only he and Michael Jordan have won both a Saturday event and an All-Star Game MVP in the same weekend. Jordan, who won the dunk contest in 1988, capped it off with the All-Star MVP in Chicago Stadium. He dropped 40 points without a three-point attempt back when All-Star games were actually competitive basketball games. Now, if you want competitive basketball on Sunday, look no further than the running Utes. They've gone through a pretty rough stretch as of late, losers in 5 of their last 6. Well, now they're on the NCAA tournament bubble. ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi has the Utes as one of the last 4 teams in on his bracket. Every game matters right now. And tonight, the Utes were at Pauley Pavilion taking on the UCLA Bruins. 2 minutes into the game, Brandon Carlson for 3. The Utes scored the first 7 points of the game. Davon Smith played a key role today. This bucket makes it a 1-point game. The Utes down 11-10. Former Ute Lazar Stefanovic, averaging 11 points per game for UCLA this year, hits this 3 from the top of the arc for the 14-10 UCLA lead. But then the Bruins lose their leading scorer for the rest of the game. Watch this. Sebastian Mack called for a flagrant 2 foul on Brandon Carlson. Hit him in the neck. Mack was ejected from the game. Then, with about a minute to go in the half, Carlson back out there on the floor, and he's still stroking it. That 3 ball, Utah trailed 36-34 at halftime. In the second half, the Utes still feeling good from three-point range. Gabe Madsen, 3-pointer for the lead, 39-38. Next time down, the trailer, Brandon Carlson, 3-pointer for the 42-38 lead. UCLA would retake the lead. Q Carlson, another 3. The Utes are back in front, 46-44. UCLA would go on a 7-0 run. Dylan Andrews, 3-ball. That helped that run out. That helped the Bruins build a 5-point lead. Back and forth we go. Utah goes ahead with the help of Davon Smith. The nice pass out to Bajma for 3. Then Smith scores through contact, the 3-point play. Final minutes, though, UCLA breaks a tie with the 3 from Will McClennan, 67-64. 19 seconds left. Utes down 1. Smith to Keba. And Utah's back on top, 68-67. Can the Bruins match it? Yes, they can. Dylan Andrews, another jumper over Carlson for the 69-68 lead. Enough time, though, for Craig Smith to draw this up.
So they get it to Benjamin, over to Smith. Smith darting down the lane, and it's blocked. In by Carlson at the buzzer. Are you serious?
Yes, they are. They reviewed the play. It counts. Utah wins at the buzzer. Utah ends UCLA's 6-game win streak. Carlson, 17 points, 7 boards. Smith, 17 points, 10 assists. Next up for Utah at Colorado on Friday night. Yeah, when we come back, though, we'll look back on this.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
When we come back, we'll look at the NBA Slam Dunk Contest over the years. It's had good years, bad years, but when it's great, we never forget. We also look back at the best 50 scored dunks in the 40-year history of the contest.
No, my honeymoon was a lot of fun. All right.
Oh, we love Frank Layden. And the Utah Jazz, they had some very memorable all-star moments. We'll reminisce coming up. Plus, what Puka Nacua did at NBA All-Star Weekend. Why does it look a little familiar? Well, we'll show you. Coming up next.
You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Some top 25 hoops on Sunday. Number 2, Purdue at Ohio State. The Buckeyes got hot in the second half. A 9-0 run gave Ohio State a 12-point lead. In the final 90 seconds, though, Purdue trailing by 3. When we get this, Lance Jones tying the game up with that 3-ball at 65-all. On the other end of the floor, Jamison Battle. He's going to drop that jumper. Ohio State would never trail again. The same week that they fired their head coach, Ohio State knocks off the number 2 team in the country, 73-69.
Why did they fire him earlier? What were they waiting for? All right, back to NBA action. The slam dunk, one of the greatest plays in sports, right? No matter what level. High school, college, pro, nothing gets fans off their feet more.
Yeah, it's had its highs and lows, but the NBA Slam Dunk Contest over the past 40 years at All-Star Weekend has delivered some iconic moments. So we're going to take a look back at some of the best dunks in the contest's history.
Let's go home! Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen! Let's go home! Ladies and gentlemen! It's 50! 50, Kenny! 50! The young fella came in here and put on a show. Bring out Spud, where else would I Slam. From Temple, 360. How about that?
A perfect score of 50 for Cedric Ceballos, the only one tonight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Indeed. Yeah. I told you. It was with the left hand, too. We need to get him a get well card. He's set right now. You win. You win, young fella. Showtime, it's over. This is how you close the show. Respect, the height, everything. You get a 10 just because of that. Wake me up, young man. No, I got a cup of coffee. Because he just woke me up. Okay, Dominique is back alive. Off the back. He threw it to himself. He double teamed it. Okay, 60. Don't be crazy. I like this. Oh, he got it.
That even has the Chicago fans humming because the power that Dominique has. There he comes up in the air. Look at the legs. Look at the arms. The windmill.
Some great memories. All right, back to 2024. Jazz forward Lauri Markkanen was a starter on the All-Star team last year here in Salt Lake City, but this year, for the first time since 2019, there are no Jazz players on the All-Star roster. But Markkanen was still a part of the All-Star Saturday night festivities, competing once again in the three-point contest. He started slow, but warmed up. By the time he reached his final 2 racks, he made 9 of his last 10 shots, including all 5 on the final rack. But he still came up just 1 shot short of advancing to the finals.
Yeah, a lot of good shooters tonight. I think I shot it pretty well. I like my strategy, where my money ball was at, and a couple tough misses with the money balls and the starry. Like I said, high-level competition this year, and almost made it. So a little bit hunger for the future.
Donovan Mitchell was vocal on social media about getting his Cavs teammate Sam Merrill into the three-point contest. Instead, Mitchell was invited to participate. So he came out on the floor with Merrill's number 5 jersey and the name Money Merrill underneath it. Donovan was eliminated, though, with just 21 points. Afterwards, he did tweet out, "I have failed you, Sam Merrill." Damian Lillard went on to win the competition. All right, he's the greatest high school football player this state has seen. He was outstanding in his career with BYU, and he set new records in the NFL for a rookie at wide receiver. Now, Puka Nacua is part of NBA All-Star Weekend. Nacua was a participant in the Celebrity All-Star Game, playing on Team Shannon Sharp, and he had 2 of the best highlights in the game, a steal that he took back for 1 high-flying dunk, and then late in the game, another one-handed jam that earned him the award for the SportsCenter Top 10 Play of the Game. Nacua scored 16 points in the game as Team Sharp beat Team Stephen A. Smith. Cowboys defensive lineman Micah Parsons was the game's MVP with a 37-point performance. Now, if you're from Utah, seeing Puka dunk on the basketball court might look a little familiar. That's because he did it with Orem High School, throwing in dunks and hitting some game winners during his high school career with the Tigers. Now, according to Deseret News, Nacua scored 961 points, averaged 11.7 points per game over 4 years at Orem. The main event on All-Star Friday night was the NBA Rising Stars game, which featured a pair of Jazz players, Keontae George and Walker Kessler. Kessler's team eliminated George's team in the first semifinal game of the night. Then in the championship game, Kessler chipped in 4 points, including a nice dunk, and his team, coached by Jalen Rose, won the Rising Stars championship.
Feeling good, got the prize money. Not that it's all about money, but it's pretty nice. So yeah, gonna go back home for a couple days and get back to Utah and get to it.
Just got done with the Rising Stars game. You know, Walker did his thing and he cheated. But now the goal is to get back here next year.
The G League All-Stars were showing off on Saturday in the G League dunk contest. Tavion Kinsey of the Salt Lake City Stars was one of the 4 participants, and man, he put on a show. Kinsey's highlight dunk was the between-the-legs 360, but it was Jordan Jackson from the Maine Celtics that took home the trophy.
Tough dunk here.
best thing that's ever happened to you as far as your career?
No.
Most fun thing?
Well, no. My honeymoon was a lot of fun. All right. But next to that, it was good.
The Utah Jazz connection to the All-Star Game is a pretty deep one. 51 all-time selections to the All-Star Game from 16 different players throughout the franchise's history.
Yeah, 2 All-Star games have been played here in Salt Lake City, as we know, and twice the Jazz head coach has been a head coach at the All-Star Game.
Pete Maravich and Truck Robinson were both All-Stars in New Orleans, but it was Adrian Dantley who was the first Jazz All-Star after the team moved to Utah. He went on to represent the Jazz in 6 All-Star games, 5 as a starter. It was his first All-Star game in 1980 where he had his best performance, scoring 23 points in 30 minutes played.
The 1984 All-Star Game was a special one for Frank Layden and the Jazz. He was the Western Conference head coach, joined by Jazz players, All-Stars Adrian Dantley, and Ricky Green, making his one and only appearance in an All-Star game.
Karl Malone is the most decorated All-Star in Jazz history, making his debut in 1988. He had 22 points, 10 rebounds in that game. 1989 marked the first time 3 Jazz players went to the All-Star game, John Stockton and Mark Eaton joining the mailman there. Mark Eaton didn't score, but he did what he does best. He blocked a couple of shots. John Stockton had 11 points and 17 assists in 32 minutes. And with some help from Stockton, Malone delivered 28 points, 9 rebounds. He was named the game's MVP.
And then in 1993, the All-Star Game came to Salt Lake City for the first time, one of the greatest moments in Utah sports history. The mailman delivered 28 points and 10 rebounds, while Stockton added 9 points, 15 assists, and it was fitting the two were named co-MVPs of the game. Malone went to 14 All-Star games in his career, which at the time of his retirement was second most all-time. Stockton was a 10-time All-Star in his career. All right, now to back to college hoops. The hottest college basketball team in the state right now is the Weber State Wildcats. After a tough stretch that saw them open conference play 1-5, they've responded with 6 straight wins. The latest was a big one. They go on the road and knock off first-place Eastern Washington Saturday night in Cheney. They led by as many as 17. Dylan Jones with a game-high 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and this hammer dunk. Eastern Washington came all the way back to tie it late in the game. Sebastian Hartman led the way with authority. But Jones and the Wildcats would finish strong, now 18-9 and 9-5 in conference play. They are in Pocatello on Saturday.
Situation going on here.
So they get it to Benjamin, over to Smith. Smith darting down the lane, and it's blocked. In by Carlson at the buzzer. Are you serious?
Yeah, the running Utes went back and forth on Sunday with UCLA on the road. It was Brandon Carlson with the game-winning putback to put an end to UCLA's win streak, 6-game win streak. It was a 70-69 Utah win. Now, there must be something in the water that the Utah basketball teams are drinking, because that last-second magic was also with the Utah women's basketball team on Friday night at home, hosting Colorado, the 8th-ranked team in the country. The Utes have only 2 wins against ranked opponents this season, and this one went to the Final Horn.
Utah does have a timeout. Not going to take it. 5 on the clock. Young trying to get a little closer. She does!
Yeah, Deja Young beats the buzzer for the 77-76 win. Their next 2 games on the road against 9th-ranked UCLA and 10th-ranked USC this upcoming week.
We have an opportunity to still achieve our goals of hosting the first 2 rounds. I mean, that is within our grasp. We're still, hunt to get a bye in the Pac-12 tournament. Like, there's a lot that we control our own destiny. To your question in terms of the narrative, I think for us and our narrative, what we're saying in our locker room, it's 1 down. 1 down. And we got 1 to go on Friday or Thursday at UCLA. That's going to be our mindset of just 1 at a time.
Now, that Utah game wasn't the only wild finish in the Pac-12 and women's hoops on Friday night. Under 15 seconds to play, UCLA hits a 3-pointer to take a 1-point lead over Oregon State. What a ball game this was between 2 ranked opponents. Then after a timeout, Oregon State scores with less than 3 seconds to go to retake the lead. UCLA's turn. Lauren Betts drains the jumper with 1 second left for the lead, but that's still enough time for Oregon State. Talia von Oelhoffen. No way! Game winner. 4 lead changes in 7 seconds? Are you kidding me? Man, that Pac-12 women's tournament is going to be unbelievable. All right, time for another quick break. More classic Jazz All-Star moments coming up.
Utah football headed to the Big 12. Are they headed to the college football playoffs? Well, we'll hear what a national pundit had to say about that. Plus, Keontae had a big night on Friday as the starting point guard for the Jazz. More on that when we come back.
NHL, a thrilling finish in the latest Stadium Series matchup. Rangers and Islanders at MetLife Stadium. Nearly 80,000 fans on hand. The Rangers trailed 5-3 in the third, but rallied to force overtime. Mika Zibanejad in overtime. Then Artemi Panarin of the Rangers steals the puck and sneaks it past the goalie. It floats over the red line. Review confirmed the game-winning goal. The Rangers rally from 3 goals down for the win. Right back to the NBA. The NBA trade deadline had an impact on the Utah Jazz. The moves made did not make them more competitive, but it did open up more minutes and more opportunity for rookies on the roster. And, of course, that includes Keontae George. He's now in the starting lineup. He struggled in the first 3 games since that change, but in Game 4 Thursday night against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, man, he was awesome. He had his best game as a pro and flashed his all-star potential. 32 points on 11 of 22 shooting, 9 of 16 from 3. And he wasn't just scoring. He was playmaking on offense, 6 assists, and getting after it on defense, 3 steals. His shooting, though, was the story, and Will Hardy has given him the green light.
You know, tonight was probably his sort of coming out party in terms of being an off-the-dribble three-point shooter. I think we saw tonight what I've been seeing and we've been seeing behind closed doors in terms of his ability to get those shots off in a variety of ways. His light is, I want Keontae to shoot as many of those pocket threes as he can find, especially against switching. It's a real weapon when teams switch, because if the switch isn't perfect and aggressive, I mean, Steph Curry's made a living on that shot.
Well, the NFL Scouting Combine begins in 12 days. A total of 321 NFL draft prospects have been invited to participate, including 6 from the University of Utah. Edge rusher Jonah Ellis and safety Cole Bishop headline the list. They're joined by safety Sione Vaki, offensive lineman Keaton Bills and Satoa Laumea, and wide receiver Devon Vele. 3 BYU players have also been invited to the Combine. Quarterback Keaton Slovis will be there as one of 14 quarterbacks in a group that includes Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., and Caleb Williams. Offensive tackle Kingsley Suamataia and punter Ryan Rico will also be there for the Cougars. Now, a whole lot of changes are coming college football's way this fall. The Pac-12 will cease to exist for the first time in 109 years. The Utes will be joining BYU in the Big 12 Conference, which will be a 16-team league. And the college football playoff finally expands from 4 to 12 teams. Although Utah is coming in as one of the new kids in the conference, they're still going to be one of the favorites to compete for an automatic bid to the 12-team playoff. And according to the stadium's Brett McMurphy, he told JJ and Alex on the KSL Sports Zone this week that he expects Utah to be one of the top 4 teams in.
The 5 highest-ranked conference champions get automatic bids to the college football playoff, and the 4 highest-ranked conference champions, no matter where they're ranked by the selection committee, they could rank 4, 7, 17, and 102. But if those are the 4 highest-ranked conference champs, they will be seeded numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the new playoff. In my bold projections tomorrow, spoiler alert, the Big 12 champ, I have them seeded 4th in my college football playoff bold projections. And that Big 12 champ that I have seeded 4th is none other than your Utah Utes.
This only gets me more excited for college football. Final round of the Genesis Invitational today on the PGA Tour. This is the shot of the day. Xander Schauffele out of the bunker into the cup for eagle. Finished tied for 4th. The winner was Hideki Matsuyama. His approach on the par 4 15th was beautiful. Left it just inches from the cup. And then his tee shot on the par 3 16th. This is not a replay. This tee shot is nearly identical to his previous approach shot. Matsuyama gets the win, his 8th career win on the tour. Finau finished tied for 19th.
The tough dunk here.
best thing that's ever happened to you as far as your career?
No.
Most fun thing?
Well, no. My honeymoon was a lot of fun. All right. But next to that, it was good.
From 1988 through 2002, there were really only 2 Jazz players associated with the All-Star game.
Yeah, Mark Eaton was in it once in 1989, but Karl Malone and John Stockton were the mainstays. In 2004, we began to see a new wave of Jazz All-Stars. Andrei Kirilenko was the next Jazz All-Star in 2004. He even got his own lunchbox. He had 2 points and a block. He was his only All-Star appearance. It was 3 years before another Jazz player was an All-Star. Mehmet Okur scored for 4 points in 14 minutes in 2007. Carlos Boozer was a 2-time All-Star. He had 14 points and 10 rebounds in the 2008 All-Star game. And Darren Williams finally got the nod in 2010. He was a 2-time All-Star with the Jazz, scoring 14 points, 6 assists, and 4 steals in the 2010 game.
Now, the Jazz have had a player named an All-Star in every season in the 2020s up until this year. It all started with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert in 2020 in Chicago. The pair were named All-Stars in 3 consecutive seasons. Mike Conley finally broke through and joined Rudy and Donovan as an All-Star in 2021.
In 2023, the All-Star game returned to Salt Lake City, and Larry Markkinen represented the Jazz. He scored 13 points and pulled down 7 rebounds as an All-Star starter. All right, when you think of Park City, you think of sailing, right? I know that doesn't make any sense, but it will after you see this story. 5A high school hoops this week. Number 2 Olympus taking on number 10 Skyline. In the first quarter, Dutch Dowdell for the 3, a part of a 15-1 run to start the game. In the third quarter, Dowdell with the steal, and he knows how to finish. Olympus up 76-32 against their rivals. Olympus ran away with this game. Titans get the win 86-49, and it all starts this week with the state tournaments all across the state.
All right, you know, when you think of Park City, you're probably thinking of skiing, snowboarding, bobsleigh, and luge. What about sailing? With the second Winter Olympics on the way, Park City is arguably the winter sports capital of the United States. But really, sailing? Well, one of Utah's next Olympic hopefuls has her sights set on Paris this summer in a boat.
That is me in a laser. That's just one of the race nights. It's probably one of my favorite photos of me sailing because I'm just like not really in the boat.
16-year-old Morgan Vesco is your typical Park City teenager. She's very active on the winter sports scene, spends a lot of time on the slopes on both a board and skis. She even plays competitive ice hockey, a sport she's been in since she was 5.
My mom, she kind of threw me into everything as much as she could.
And she's good on those skates, playing for the Utah Lady Grizzlies 16U team, a team that travels and faces other teams in the National Girls Hockey League.
Hockey is you have to have balance, you have to be fast with your body.
But hold on, that's not where this story began. It began here.
It's probably one of my favorite photos of me sailing.
That's right, Morgan is a sailor, racing in a laser, a small single-handed dinghy, and she's really good, like good enough that this weekend she's competing at the U.S. Olympic qualifier in Miami.
I'm eager to get there and see what is waiting for me. I want to be able to make new connections with people. I think it will be an amazing event.
Sailing, a sport she also started as a frightened 5-year-old.
I remember there were moments where I was like holding my coach's hand like, I don't like this, the boat's tipping.
To now one of the top female racers in the country who, with a top 3 finish in Miami, will be headed to Paris.
That would be insane. I feel like that'd be life-changing for me.
We wish her the best of luck. The college baseball season began this week, and in Eastern Carolina's opener on Friday, Parker Bird, who had his leg amputated after a boating accident just 19 months ago, became the first Division I baseball player to ever play a game with a prosthetic leg. Bird came in to pinch hit. He received a long-standing ovation. It was a very emotional moment for his family. As you can see here, he ended up reaching first base on a walk in his season debut with Eastern Carolina. What a moment, though, for Parker Bird.
That's awesome. Look forward to following that story as it continues. As I mentioned, state tournaments across the state.
Awesome.
Continue. You can watch them all on KSL Sports, the app.
Stream it.
Or don't. You decide.